Okay, I think, is it visible, my screen? Okay, so see, in last week we just started with, I think, local and global variables. We had taken one example on this local and global variables. Just I told we cannot access that global variable directly the outside of the function, any function. But when we see the global variable, so that we can access from any function, right? So this example is of the local variable. This example I have just shown you already, and this is for the global variables, right? So global variable we just defined before that main program, so that that variable we can access throughout the program, right? Now that one variable that I have not taken, that is a static variable. Okay, so I'll just give some little bit time on the static variables, right? So see, uh, the local variable or the global variable, both are actually same, only that the working is different, but they cannot retain that value, or they cannot preserve that value, right? So when we just talk about the static variables, so this static variable is having some kind of property, so that which is that property, so that static variable preserves that value, whichever is the value we assign to that static variable, that value is being preserved even out of that scope also. And see, not necessary to reinitialize that again, right? And if you want to use that static variables, you need to use that static key, right? Static keyword here before this the declaration. If you see here, these are the two the ways. One is the normal variable declaration, and second one is the static variable declaration. If you see here, that statement I have written here, that static variable have a property of preserving their value even after they are out of their scope and are not initialized again in the new scope, right? And also that in second one, it is about the static keyword. Static variable is declared as a static by writing the keyword static in front of the variable declaration. So if you see the difference between the declaration between the local variable and the static variable, only you need to use this keyword, that is a static. So otherwise, whatever the rest part, that rest part is as it is. Like if you see, this is the local variable declaration, and this is a static variable declaration. So whatever is the local variable declaration, that is as it is here. Only before that, we just use that static keyword. Now again, the second, the main thing is, if you see, read this statement. So default value of static variable is 0. So see, when we just use this local variable, so default value is a garbage value. Whatever the default value that is assigned to this local variable or the normal variable, we can say ordinary variable. For that, so default value is the garbage value. If you see, if you want to see that any example, sorry, okay, if you say this, suppose int a is given, and if I print this, a equals to %d, suppose, or value of a, I'll say a as this a, right? Now see what I did here. I just declare one variable, that is a. I have not assigned any value to that a, and I'm just checking what would be the output for this, right? So I'll just run this program over here, and so you can see, 1 minute, that value here assigned is 0. Again, it is taken at 0. 1 minute. See, it is, I think, because of this compiler again, it get varies. But if you see, oh, I think it is because of this compiler. But see, you just understand here, they should not be zero here. That output is some value, right? Actually, it is because of this compiler, because I am taking this GCC compiler. But if you run this on the other compiler, TurboC or somewhere, so you will get that when I just use this kind of declaration and if I run that program, so that output would be that any garbage value, right? But when we just use that static variable, this a as a static variable, in that case that output is 0 because the default value for this is 0, right? So this actually, I don't know why it is giving, but if you see static, in this case that output should be 0. In this the program, it is giving in both case that output is 0, right? You can see that value is 0 here, but it is showing in the previous case also that output is 0. But just keep in your mind, right? So in this case, that output of A is any garbage value, and here that output of A is the 0, right? And the scope of this variable is lifetime, as I said. One example I'll just show you here so that you will understand that the difference between static and the ordinary variable. See, one example I just given here. If you see this program, what I did here, I just taken one normal variable that is a count, and for that count I just initialize that value to 0, right? When I execute this program, so when that compiler comes to this point, this count plus plus, it means initial value of that count is 0, right? And when this statement gets executed, so that value will be incremented by 1, so that count value, recent value would be 1, and we are returning that 1. So in this main program, first time when I just call this function, so that output would be 1 because it is incremented it by 1, and return that value, and we printed that 1, right? Second time, again that second statement is the same. What is happening here, again it will go here to this function, it will initialize again 0 to that count, it will increment by 1, and again returning that 1 value, and output is 1. Getting this? So what would be the output for this? Output for this is 1 in the previous case, and in next case also that 1. I think you understood this. I just run this program again. You can see here I just shown you that output. And in second case, if you see here, I just declare that count variable as a static variable and initialize that count to the 0. Now, when I just call this function, it will come here as it is static variable. So initial value is 0. Then here it is reassign that 0 to 1 because it is increment, right? And return it to this function. So output would be 1 here. In this case, that output would be 1, right? Now again to the second line, again we are coming here. So it is calling that same function. It will go here. Now see, it will not thus 0 value. Which value it will preserve? Whatever the recent value, that will be preserved. It means that count value would be 1, initial value, and that value will be incremented by 1. It means initial is 1, increment by 1 means it becomes 2. They return that 2, and here it will print this 2. Getting this? So my output would be 1 and 2. In this case, here for the first execution also 1, and here for second execution also 1. That reason is why, because each time, every time that count is reinitialized to 0. Getting this? So that's why I just remove this one. You just understood here the difference between the ordinary variable and static variable, right? If you see here, that output is, again I shown you that output is 1 and 2 in this case when we use static variable, and if you are using the ordinary variable, that output is 1 and 1. So we'll try to execute over here. Let me see here, right? Only I need to change this double quote over here, because this will produce some error, right? This one, right? And I'll just run this program. This, it is working. You can see here that output is what? 1 1. You can see here that output is 1 1. Getting this? Because here for the first time it will initialize to 0, that will increment it by 1, and return value will be 1. Here it will return that value 1, and here it will print that value 1. When it execute the second statement, right? So in second, what it will do, it will go here, again it is initialized to 0, it will increment it by 1, and again next time that value would be 1, it will return that value 1, and that output printed would be 1 in this case, right? So this is the case here if you are using the ordinary variables. Now suppose you are using this static variable. Now I'll just copy this part, and I'll just execute this so that we'll understood this. You can see now I have just used suppose this static variable, and again I just do this. I just take new line, okay, so that we'll understand here. This, okay, right? So if you say this, I'll just compile this, I'll run this, the output would be 1 and 2. You can see here that output is 1 and 2, because first time when this executes this statement, it will go to this function, it is initialized to 0, and that value will be incremented and return value would be 1. Then it will come to the second calling statement, it go here. Now as this is a static variable, count is static variable, so it is not required to reinitialize that to 0. Whatever is the updated value, that it will be considered. So updated value is 1, and it will increment it by 1, so it becomes 2, so it will return that 2 value, right? And that will be returned here. So in this statement it will printed by 2. This is 1 and 2. So that's why when I just execute this, so that output is 1 and 2. I've understood this, the difference between again static variable and ordinary variable. In ordinary variable, that variable will not preserve that value. This static variable, it preserves that value. So this is the example for this, right? So I think this is the enough for the static variable. If you are having any doubt, you can ask me about the static variables, right? Anything, any doubt in the static variables? So here I'll just say it's a completion of the function point, right? Because we have seen the 4 types of the functions. Only one part that is missed, that is a recursive function, that I'll just take hereafter. So before this, we have seen the types of the function and this local, static, and global variables. So if you are having any doubt in these, you can ask me. Otherwise, I'll just move for the next. This is a recursive function. Any doubt? If you understood that function concept, then this is very easy part, that is a recursive function. But see, I'll say that recursive function is very easy to write, but it's very tough to understand actually. Working of this recursive function, it's very tough. But if you are using the recursive function, so whatever is the code size, that will be minimized. Using recursive function, we can minimize that code size. And if someone is they having the habit of memorization, so in that case that code using the recursion, that is very easy to memorization, right? So this is the next, but internally it gets time to execute. This is the main thing. So I have written here what is the recursive function. The function that calls itself is known as recursive function, right? If there is a function which calls itself again and again, then we can call that function as a recursive function. So the two examples I have just given here, right? If you see this first example, and this first examples, what I did, I have just given one kind of template. So this is a main program. I have written main program, and one function I just written inside of that recursive function. That name of that function is recursive function, right? Yes. Anything? Okay. So one function I have written that recursive function. It means when compiler comes to this point, so it will jump from this to this definition part. Now what I did again, inside of this definition, I have just written that same function. I call that same function. It means when your compiler come to this point, it will go back to the same function again and start execution. Again, it will come to this point. Again, same function is there. So it will going back to the same function again executing. It means here, if that function is calling itself again and again till particular condition, you can say, right? So that function is called as recursive function. Now here, whenever you just write that recursive function, you need to write if condition, if and else, because if you are not putting the termination condition, so it will go in infinite loop, right? So you need to put that termination condition also in this recursive statement, because if you see the second example here, what I did in the second example, you can understand here what I did. I have written that main program. I just said printf recursion program, and I call that same function again, that main program. Now what is happening here? It is coming to this point, it will print this statement. It is coming to the second statement, it is main. It means it is calling statement. It is going back to this again. It is coming here again, printing this and coming to this. So it is calling to itself again, going here, coming here, printing this again, coming to this, calling itself. So it means there is no termination condition into this. If you see here, it is calling that main program again and again and again and again. So that's why it is entering into the infinite loop, right? So that's why this will be executed. If you run this program, this one, so you can see here, as I have not written any termination condition over here. So this, again, I need to change this quotation mark, right? So if you see here, I'll compile this. Oh, it's something what? Oh, I have not written that header file over here. Wait. So now I'll just run this. It is running successfully, and if I compile this, you can see this will enter into the infinite state, right? So if you see here, it entered into the infinite loop or an infinite state, you can say. So core down, right? So it means there is no termination condition. That's why it entered into the infinite loop. Getting this? So here, this is the example of the again recursion, we can say. But as I said, whenever you just use that the recursive function, you need to put the termination condition here. So if you are using that if else, so in if you can put the one condition, and in else you can put the second condition. So in if normally we put the termination condition, and in else whatever is your the normal function, that we calls again and again. Now see here, one more point you just keep in your mind. Whenever you just face, or if someone asks you about the recursive function, so in this case it use that system stack. Actually, you don't have, I think, idea about this stack, but whenever we just come to that point, I'll just tell you what is this stack. But at this point, only you just understand here that recursive function use that system stack. Getting my point? Recursive function uses system stack for the execution, and that's why using the system stack, so we don't have any the defined function for the stack or something. That's why this becomes very small. Ready? So this is, I think you might understood what is the recursive function. So the function which called itself again and again, that you can call as a recursive function. So one example that is very traditional example that I'll just take here so that you will understand that. You can see here the recursive function for the factorial program. You can see here what I did here. I'll just what I'll copy this and I'll just put into this so that I'll explain it again very smoothly. Right? Again, I need to change this. I think it is correct. Open closing bracket, but sometimes it provides that error. Okay. Now see what I did here. I just want to find out the factorial of any number, but I just hard coded that number, that is 5. Right? You can accept that number from the user and you can calculate the value of factorial value of that given number, right? But I just hard coded that number, that is 5, right? And what I did here, I have used this factorial function, right? This is a factorial function, and that parameter I have just passed here, that is n, that is 5, suppose. Now when that compiler comes to this point, it will go here, right? Now what is the condition? If n equals to 1, this is the termination condition, so you need to return that one. Otherwise, if that value of n is not 1, then you just come to this else part, and I just call that same function again, right? N into factorial n minus 1. I think you have that idea about the calculation of factorial. I'll not do the all steps. What we do, 5 into first step would be first iteration. I'm just telling you 5 minus 1, right? This is a first iteration. Ready? So we continue this one. So as I have considered that 5 as a n, so it means it is n minus 1. Getting this? So we continue this till we get that value 1 here, right? So factorial of 1 is 1. So this I have given here. If value of n is 1, then it will return that 1. Getting this? And whatever is the output of this would be 120. So here, when first time that compiler comes to this point, suppose here 5 value I just passed, it is coming here, right? That value of n is 5. So that n is not equals to 5, it means it is coming to this point. So what will happen here? So I just do something here. I just ignore this part. Just consider this as a comment, right? So n value is 5. So I am doing this 5 into, again I am calling this same function again, right? This function, but that parameter is what? That is n minus 1. So factorial is what? 5 minus 1 is 4. You can see here. So again it will go back to the same function. Now here for the second iteration, that value of n is 4. It will come to this point. Now n is not equals to 1, so it will come to this again. Again for the second, what will happen here? Sorry. Whatever is the result of this one, previous result, into, suppose that previous result is x. For understanding, I'm just using that x into, x means that value of n, this one, right? Into factorial of, now here 4 minus 1 is 3. Getting this? So you can continue this till 1, and when that value of n is 1, it means this if condition is true and it will return 1. I think you might understood this one. So I'll just remove this, right? Because these are the PPTs and I need to share with you. I'll just again remove this and again I'll remove this one, right? So I think I just copied this program over here. So if you see here, it's running successfully and you can see that factorial value is 120. If you say this, factorial value is 120. Just put here new line also, right? If you change this, suppose to the 6, and if I run this again, so factorial of 6 is 720. Getting this? Now see, again, whenever you just calculate the factorial value of any number, so that most important thing is that type of that n and type of that fact, right? So main thing is what is the type of this one, so that is most important. As I have just used here the integer type for that fact, so integer is having some kind of limit, so within that limit only that output would be displayed. If that number or that output is going beyond that range, then it will not provide that output. One example I'll just say here, suppose I am just taking 50. Let me see what output would be, because it might go beyond that range. You can see here factorial is 0. Getting this? Because it is not providing that correct output, as that integer is having some kind of limit. But for the small values, it provides the output. Like for the 10, we'll see, you can see for 10 again that output is shown here, right? But in Python, if you see in Python programming, if you are doing suppose that same program, so in that range of that data type is very large. But in C programming, every data type is having some kind of limit. So that's why whenever you just run program, you just think about the data type also, right? So here for the integer values, that program is this one. If you change this to long int and something, so that output would be different. Getting this? So I think you might understood this program. This is very simple program. Only main thing is this is the function. This is a recursive function, and we are calling this function again and again, right? So this one is the example of, you can say, the recursive function. Have I understood this recursive function? So I'll not spend much time on this also, because this is very small part. Only here you need to understand what is the recursive function and how it works, right? So any doubt about the recursive function? Otherwise, the just move for the next part. That is next is the most important part. But the from that also the 50% part I'll just take it after, but I'll just list out that here. User defined data types, right? So next one is the, this is the user defined data types. So obviously that name indicates user defined data types means what? The data types that are defined by the user are called user defined data types, or data type, you can say, right? So which are the user defined data types? So the I have listed some classes in C++, right? Second one is a structure, union, type def, and enum. So here, as I am taking that C programming, so I'll not go into this C++ classes. So only here you just understand the user defined data type as class, right? One we can say. And when we see the C programming, so user data defined data types are like structure, union, type def, and enum, right? So today I'll not take that structure and union, because in tomorrow's lecture I'll just take that structure and union. Actually, structure and union both are the same, except the whatever the variables inside of structure and inside of the union, only the use of that memory is different only. In structure, every variable uses its own memory, but in union, so all variables use that same memory, common memory, you can say. Right? That is only difference. Otherwise, the working is same as structure of that union also. Getting? So tomorrow I'll just take that structure and union. Classes I'm not taking only, you just understand that class is one example of user defined data types, right? Because this is a different concept and we need time for that. And the last two are type def is one user defined data types and enum is also the second one. Now see, type def, I'll just tell you with example of one example I'll just take over here. See, suppose I just want to create my own data type. So can I in C programming? So that answer is definitely yes. How? That I'll just show you. It. See, we know which are the basic data types here, like int a, right? And if I assign something to this, a equals to suppose 10, and print is %d, right? And I'll just run this. You can see that value of a is 10, like this. Now see, this one is the built-in data type, we can say, and we're talking on the user-defined data types. So can I create my own data type? That is the question here. So yes, definitely we can create our own data type. So how? So we can say type def is a keyword, we can say. And suppose I just want to create one data type, that is suppose age. Getting this? This one, right? Now I'll just explain this, the meaning of this statement. Type def is a keyword, right? This is used to create the user defined data type. Integer is what, which type of data type you want to create, that is this int, char, float, whatever. And this is my own data type. Age is my own data type. If you see age, now here that age is not a variable. Keep in your mind that age is not the variable. Here that age is a data type. Now you can see here, suppose I'm just doing this x, right? Now what I am doing here, that x is a variable of type age. You just understand here that age is a data type of integer, we can say. Age is a data type of this int, and I have created this age data type. This is my own data type using this keyword, that is type def. And here if I see this x, and if I assign something here, suppose x equals to 20, right? Right? Now x is a variable, but age is not the variable. You just keep in your mind, x is a variable, but age is not the variable. This is age is what? It's my own created data type. I'll just save this program and I just run this. That we see what is the output over here, running, compiling successfully, and you can see here a equals to 20. Getting my point? So here, or also you can assign that same value over here. You can see same. If I compile this, compiling successfully, running again successfully, a equals to 20. I think you might understood my user defined data type, that age is a data type of type integer, and it's my own created. I can say here instead of age, this one like JSD. I don't know what it is. So now what happened here? This JSD becomes a data type. So I need I need to create that X JSD. Now here that JSD becomes the data type, and type is integer. If I run this, compile this first, you can see compiling successfully, running again successfully. So you can see you can create your own data type, whatever you like. Second is like suppose this, like actually this is not the variable, this is a data type. Harish is a data type, and if I just replace this, right, now this is a data type like integer, and this is a variable of type this Harish, and I just assign that 20 to this one. So if I compile this, you can see 20, right? So I think you might understood that type def. So using type def, you can create your own data type. That is the only meaning of this type def here. You've understood this? Now, next, that is the enum, right? So it is mainly used to assign names to the integral constants. It's very simple actually. With one diagram, I'll just show you. I just copied the diagram from the internet. That actually very nice diagram. So I'll show you that diagram so that you will understand what is the enum, right? And that in one line I just told you it is mainly used to assign names to the integral constant. You can see this diagram. I just copied it from somewhere, right? So if you see here the declaration of this enum, right? Enum is a keyword, right? And this is a variable, we can say days of week. Getting? Days of week is a enum variable, we can say. And for this we have assigned Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all these 7 days we just assigned to this. Now see here, what is the meaning of this? It is mainly used to assign names to integral constant, right? So whatever are the names that we are assigning to the integral constants, you can see here Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, these are the names, and we are assigning that names to the integral constant. So here you can say state 0, state 1, dot dot, state 6. Getting? So these are the integral constants. State 0, state 1, state 2, state 3, state 4 to state 6. These are the integral constant, and these are the names. It means this is the enum variable. And see, if you see this statement, whatever is the enum days of the week, and I just created one object of enum, right? Days, or we can say that variable for your understanding, right? And for this I just assigned here in this Wednesday. Getting this? So Wednesday I just assigned to this day, and when I just print that output, so this will not print the Wednesday, that will print the 2. Getting this? Because for this 0, 1 and 0, 1, 2, I think, 1 minute, it is something missing here, right? 0, 1, 2, this I need, this should be 3. That I'll just show you an example. I just copy this, right, and we'll paste over here. Again I need to change this, okay, and I'll run this. Let me see that output, is 2. So it is started from the Monday, and in this diagram if you see, it is started from the Sunday. Oh, where is this? Here it is started from the Sunday. Actually it should start from the, if you start from the Sunday, then 2. If you start from the, sorry, if you start from the Monday, that output would be 2. If you start from the Sunday, that output would be 3. If I change this one, and I just remove this, then you can verify this output, right? Compile, run, you can see here that output is 3. Getting this? Or I'll say here, right, here I'll just put the new line so that it would be visible. and also here new line. You can see here compile and run. You can see here enum output is 3. Getting this? So whatever diagram I just shown you here, and this is a bug, we can say it should be 3. Getting? Here you can understand this should be 3 because it is been started from the Sunday. Getting? Because it's ultimately Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and that Wednesday. So 0, 1, 2, and that Wednesday should be 3, but here it is shown 2, so it's not 2, it is 3. Getting my point? So this is the enum, we can say, and that output is again not here. The here that output is true because here we started it from the Monday. Getting? So have you understood this, the enum? So these are the user-defined data types. So classes in C++, that I have not taken because it's a very different concept. So when you just understand that structure, so it is, we can say, extension of the structure. So structure and union, tomorrow I'll just tell you that structure and union. And type def, already I just told you, you can, using this type def keyword, you can create your own data type, and that data type you can use anywhere in your program, right? And enum, also we have seen this enum, right? So this is used to assign the names to the integral constants, this one. And I have just shown you this diagram for the understanding only here, that there is a one bug, it should be 3, right? And one example I have just taken it for the enum, right? So any doubt till here? Because tomorrow we have 2 lectures, one is at 1:30 and second is at the 4:30, right? So if you are having any doubt, please you can ask me. I'll stop my sharing, right?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, yeah.